In various Vedanta books I have come across an interesting point on guru-student relationship. When a person approaches a guru to become the latter student, the guru observes him, his thoughts, words, etc., for a few of his visits and then decides whether he should make that person his student, or not. As completing school is minimum qualification for admission to college, a guru looks for minimum qualification, student's interest towards learning. Only if the student has interest in learning from that guru, the guru makes that person his student. There are some students who approach a guru not to learn but to teach the guru. Obviously, guru wouldn't accept such a person as his student. Similarly, a guru gives spiritual initiation, mantra diksha, only to those students, and at such a time when the student reaches a point where he or she can respect the guru-disciple relationship, and carry on with the lineage of his gurus. On that basis, if a guru refuses to accept a person as his student, or refuses, or delays initiation of a student, then it's not considered as the guru's ego, but that's how it is. A guru gives his initiates a new life, spiritual life. A student's failure is guru's failure. For taking such a big responsibility, a guru has right of making his choice of students and disciples. Spiritual journey of a seeker starts with the question, who am I? And it ends with an extremely clear understanding of the answer, I am Brahman, God, Aham Brahmasmi in Sanskrit. The seeker brings with him spiritual knowledge from earlier births, and hence each seeker has his own course to complete in the present birth. Every seeker doesn't need same amount of guidance to walk this spiritual path, or reach the destination, if reaching the destination is to happen in the present lifetime. Does a seeker compulsorily need a guru? A seeker might not need a living person as his guru. Prince Siddhartha left his family, and walked out of his palace, sat under a tree, meditated, gained enlightenment, and became Gautama Buddha. Though he looked for many gurus, his enlightenment was a direct result of his own efforts. Neither did he worship images of God nor did he do any rituals. Who definitely needs a guru? Any seeker who says, I don't need any guru definitely needs one, who would help the seeker to remove the ignorance and ego that makes the seeker say, I don't need a guru. A seeker who says, I need a guru might actually not need a living person as a guru. However, having one would certainly help him. Different types of gurus. The ultimate aim of spiritual journey is to realize the non-dual truth of the universe. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman, i.e., all is God, or the universe is God. We love somebody because we treat ourselves different than that somebody. We hate somebody because we treat ourselves different than that somebody. We desire for something because we treat ourselves different than that something. We worship some divine power because we treat that divine power to be different than us. When we understand that there are no two but just the one non-dual existence, the essence of everything, then that's what is Ayam Atma Brahman, i.e., the self is Brahman, God.
When we understand that there are no two, but just the one, non-dual existence, the essence of everything, then that's what is Ayam Atma Brahman, I. The self is Brahman, God.
Whoever or whatever removes the ignorance from our minds, and helps us in realizing, I am everything, I am the same consciousness that God is our guru. That guru could be a living person, an image, books, nature, anybody, or anything else.
Whoever or whatever removes the ignorance from our minds and helps us in realizing, I am everything, I am the same consciousness that God is our guru. That guru could be a living person, an image, books, nature, anybody, or anything else.
Gaining knowledge about the absolute reality is what is ultimately important. the source is not that important. This is because all sources will end in the same source, God. Transmission of spiritual powers could be from a living person, guru, to a disciple, or it could be from an object, idol, picture, book, sky, etc., to a seeker. There is vibration in living being as well as non-living being. The idol of God is not different than the God itself. It's easier to watch a 2-hour movie than to read the novel based on which that movie was made. Similarly, it's easier to learn from a living guru than to learn from books and experiences. Paths are many, destination is one. I don't know God, and I don't want to know God because I am God in essence. One should never say, I am God. One should only realize that, I am God. In the state of non-dualism, God and I cannot be two, there has to be only the one. He is I, so am. It's very easy to say, everything is God, even I am God, but mere saying that makes no difference. He who actually realizes that he is God, thereafter never talks in terms of I. After realizing God in the self, many seekers never returned from Mahasamadhi, final meditation. Many seekers gave up talking, took vow of silence for rest of life. That was because after the great realization one can't talk in terms of I. Anyone who uses the term I to refer to the self is yet to understand the real I, i.e. God. God can be best defined by silence. Can anybody really describe God? Story: God cannot be described. A king had sent his 2 little sons to ashram for studies. After 12 years they returned completing their studies. The king asked the first son, "What is God?" The son kept on talking about God for half an hour. After the marathon reply of the first son, the king asked the same question, "What is God?" to the second son. The second son kept quiet, staring at his father. When the son didn't speak a word in reply for over a minute, the king spoke, "My son, you really understood what God is?" Just by saying, everything is God, even I am God, it doesn't mean anything. One has to realize what God is. Whoever or whatever takes us to that realization is our guru. This means that could be another person, an object, or the power within. Having a personal guru is great, but as I said earlier, a guru need not be a person, it could be an object, or one's own power within. Buddha's true guru might have been the sight of the dead man, seeing what he thought over the human cycle of birth, growth, disease, old age, death, and he left everything behind, and sat on meditation until gaining enlightenment. Thousands of years back, when there was no writing, everything was communicated just verbally. Those days one could learn only from the spoken words of someone, guru. Gurus narrated scriptures to disciples. For hundreds of years this knowledge was just passed on from generation to generation verbally. Even after writing started for few hundred years, if not thousands, the scriptures were not written anywhere because people wanted to keep the valuable scriptures within the lineage of gurus, and didn't want them to fall in outsiders' hands. 3 basic steps of acquiring spiritual wisdom are Shravan, Manana, and Nididhyasana. The first step, Shravan, means listening. Since, in those days it was only listening, and not reading, from a guru, the word was Shravan. However, things changed later. All scriptures and other spiritual knowledge were written down. In present day and age we have millions of books, CDs, DVDs, cassettes, websites, and various other sources of acquiring spiritual knowledge. The 3 major gifts from a guru to disciple are: A. Teaching scriptures, B. Teaching yogas such as Kundalini Yoga, and C. Direct transmission of power. The first 2 can be substituted with other source of learning such as books, audio-video media, etc. Everything has its own advantages and disadvantages. In the present days, people are too busy to sit long hours with gurus and learn. However, one can listen to spiritual CDs while driving, doing chores, or whenever one gets some free time. Scriptures say that the best way to acquire self-knowledge is by acquiring spiritual wisdom, and not by austerity, pilgrimage, charity, and rituals. So, the goal of spiritual life is certainly to acquire spiritual wisdom, whatever be the source. However, having a living person as a guru is always helpful, provided the guru doesn't have any selfish motive.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. Guru is the personification of creator, preserver, and destructor.
Seeker. A seeker is an aspirant who is looking for the truth behind the existence of God, creation, and life. If you have come so far reading this book, then you definitely are a seeker. Seeker and non-dualism.
There are different types of seekers. Of that, the two major types are: 1. Those who think that God, heaven, final destination, etc. is far away from them, and they have to reach that point, and 2. Those who know that God, heaven, final destination, etc. and they themselves are one and the same, and hence there is no another place to go, or nothing to achieve. In short, I am talking of the dualist seekers and the non-dualist seekers. With due respect to both categories, when a dualist seeker experiences a little of bliss, he gets very happy, whereas that moment never comes in a non-dualist seeker's life, because he is always in that state of bliss, experiencing himself one with God, heaven, final destination, etc. Where could be God, heaven, etc. if not within us?
Story, heaven and hell.
Once a disciple does something evil and runs repenting to his guru, all in tears. The disciple tells his guru, "Please save me from going to hell, I have done a terrible thing." He kept crying and repeating the same thing incessantly. The guru somehow managed to interrupt him and said soothingly, "You will not go to hell." Yet the student kept crying and repeated the same statement, "Please save me from going to hell, I have done a terrible thing." The guru then said, "You cannot go to hell," after a pause, "because you are already there." At any given moment, our state of mind decides whether we are on earth, in heaven, or hell, whether we are still on spiritual journey, or already at the final destination. God doesn't put us in heaven or hell, we put ourselves there. God doesn't punish or reward us, we do that to ourselves by our karma. God doesn't put us in heaven or hell, we put ourselves there. God doesn't punish or reward us, we do that to ourselves by our karma.
We should keep doing our daily routine, whatever our artha, dharma, kama, and moksha are, but every moment of our life we should just try to experience the oneness with the Supreme Self, and wherever we are at that point should be considered as the point of highest bliss. Artha is wealth and prosperity, dharma is duty and ethics, kama is pleasure and sensual gratification, and moksha is liberation. A seeker should avoid craving.
One very important milestone in spiritual journey of a seeker is to stop craving. Once a seeker acquires reasonable amount of spiritual knowledge, he should stop longing for anything. When a person realizes his true nature is divine, he starts experiencing an egoless state of fullness. I'm consciousness, I'm one with everything, there's nothing outside of me or beyond me, I am full. When the sense of fullness comes, one realizes that I am joyful, there's no joy beyond my joy, and I am sorrowful, there's no sorrow beyond my sorrow. Similarly, I am blissful, beautiful, painful, etc., everything, full. As such, negativity should be avoided. However, to explain fullness, it was important for me to use pairs of opposites above. Hence, I had to use negativities such as I am painful, sorrowful, etc. This is the perfect state of non-dualism. I am one with everything, so there is nothing outside me for which I have to crave. Once a seeker reaches that state of fullness, he stops longing for anything. He becomes immune to joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, etc. One cannot eat up oneself, ocean cannot drown in itself, etc. Similarly, if entire joy is within me, I cannot crave for more joy since full joy is already within me. If entire sorrow is already within me, then there cannot be fear of any sorrow, because there wouldn't be any sorrow outside of me in the first place. With this sense of fullness, a seeker would not crave for anything, not even for a guru or God. At the same time, the seeker wouldn't have any ego either to accept anyone as his guru or God. The question arises, if everything is within me, then where the question of having a guru or God outside of me is? The answer is very simple. The world outside is nothing but the reflection of the world inside you. Real world is inside you. The outer world is just the reflection of the world inside you. Craving is after all craving, be it for material things or spiritual things. A seeker should learn to experience the state of fullness and stop craving for anything, even God. A seeker should learn to experience the state of fullness and stop craving for anything, even God.
Story, craving for ecstasy. Once a great disciple of Sri Ramakrishna went to him and pleaded, "Please touch my chest and transmit little power so that I can experience spiritual ecstasy for at least a short while." On that the avatar rebuked him, "I have taught you everything that would help you to experience the divine bliss, and still you crave for the touch of ecstasy." Guru seeks disciples.
Sri Ramakrishna spent his lifetime meditating at the lotus feet of Goddess Kali. He never went searching for any guru. However, great spiritual souls such as Ma Bhairavi and Sri Thothapuri came searching for Sri Ramakrishna and made him their disciple. Sri Ramakrishna, even after getting direct vision of God, had not an iota of ego about accepting them as his gurus. He learned 64 tantras from Guru Ma Bhairavi and Nirvikalpa Samadhi from Guru Sri Thothapuri. A seeker should feel the fullness without any craving. If a person finds a guru, that's good. If not, then his guru would find him one day.
Guru and disciple relationship.
Nami mritu shanak nami jatibera. Pita nivami niva mata na janma. Na bandhu na mitra guru niva shishya. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I do not have fear of death, I do not have death, and no separation from my true self, no doubt about my existence, nor have I the discrimination on the basis of birth. I do not have father, nor mother, nor did I have a birth. I am not a relative, nor a friend, nor a guru, nor a disciple. I am indeed eternal blissful Shiva, God, love and happiness. I love those lines from Adi Shankaracharya's Nirvana Shatkam. There is absolutely no question of being greater or smaller in guru-disciple relationship. Usually it is seen that a disciple is known more than the guru. Sri Ramakrishna had gurus such as Ma Bhairavi, who taught him 64 tantras, and Sri Thothapuri, who taught him Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and also gave him spiritual name Ramakrishna, while his birth name was Gadadhar. However, today millions worship Sri Ramakrishna and hardly a few know about his gurus. Similarly, if millions pray to Sri Ramakrishna, then billions of people follow his disciple Swami Vivekananda, the great one who spread Vedanta philosophy in the entire world. Another great example is that of Sri Paramahansa Yogananda, the founder of Self-Realization Fellowship and Yagoda Satsang Society of India. It was through him that the world came to know about the great blessing and power of Kriya Yoga, a direct and simple scientific technique for self-realization. His lineage of gurus was Mahaveta Babaji, Lahiri Mahasaya, and Swami Sri Yukteswar Giri. There's absolutely nothing to feel greater or smaller in the most sacred guru-disciple relationship.
There was a time, thousands of years back, when Guru was blindly considered to be above God. It was then when people knew one should blindly trust one's Guru. But it's different now. One should trust one's Guru but also listen to one's inner voice. Different students can have different experience from the same Guru. Arjuna became the best archer under the guidance of his Guru, Dronacharya, while Eklavya had to cut his thumb to pay fees, Guru Dakshina, to the same Guru. 5,000 years down the line things have worsened. There are many gurus who exploit their students. There are thousands of such stories. Some amount of trust is required in all matters. It's also said that a patient has to have trust more in the doctor than medicine. But then, the final say is of our inner voices. We can clearly hear that voice from within during our meditation. In our meditation we can get the most correct answers to any question. Why not? Would I benefit from my present Guru, or any other questions in life? This is too simple to explain. We all strongly believe that God knows everything. As we progress on spiritual path we realize that our true nature is divine, and our essence is the same consciousness, which is God. In meditation our will becomes one with God's will, and our thoughts become one with His thoughts. That's the right time to get the answers to our queries and doubts. And hence I would frame the sentence as, trust in your Guru but not blindly. Of course, a time comes when the trust becomes immortal and then one can blindly trust his or her Guru. A perfect example is Sri Dayamata's trust in her Guru Sri Paramahansa Yogananda. What is wrong with many gurus? To begin with, let's once again touch upon the meaning of the word Guru. The Sanskrit word Guru is the combination of two words, Gu and Aryu. Gu means darkness and Aryu means the act of removal. Thus a guru is one who removes darkness, ignorance, from the minds of his disciples. Keeping aside the literal meaning, in simple words a guru is a teacher. As long as one learns something from somebody, directly or indirectly, the learner builds up a guru-student relationship with that other person. Interesting part is a student can learn from a teacher even if the teacher has not taught anything to that student, and even if that teacher doesn't even know the student. Many a time a teacher's influence, action, existence, or past existence is enough to show millions the path to their spiritual goals. Role model of a person is his guru, but most of the time the person is not even aware of it. The reason I am mentioning this is to highlight the fact that even if a guru doesn't have too much knowledge or power to pass on to his student, the student can still gain a great deal as long as the guru doesn't have any negative qualities in the student's perception. While there are quite many negative aspects of gurus such as jealousy, superiority complex, ego, etc., the worst is money-mindedness. If we ask 10 people the reason of their breaking up with their gurus, trust me, 9 if not all 10 will have the same reason: money. In today's day and age, most gurus are institutionalizing and commercializing the practices of spirituality by emotionally extorting financial support from disciples. Many people visit church every week, or other places of worship regularly, not out of their love for God but rather out of the fear of assumed evil that might befall them if they didn't spend that time for God. Similarly, many disciples spend fortune on their gurus, not because they have a lot of wealth to burn, or they don't have anything else to spend on, but because they do not want to disappoint their gurus. These gurus have huge list of expenses such as ashram rent, journals, magazines, newsletters, and other periodicals, books publication, audio-video materials, gurus' travel costs, retreat expenses, and so on. And just a handful of disciples have to bear all these expenses by cutting corners from their domestic household expenses. Once a disciple starts paying such contribution, the guru's expectation from him goes on increasing, and it becomes like gambling for the disciple. At some point the disciple thinks that as it is he has spent so much on his guru, then might at least not lose him by refusing further support, and he goes on squeezing his pockets until it comes to the situation where he starts depriving his family and himself of the needs. The guru-disciple concept had started in the East. The gurus lived extremely simple lives. Their students were children of kings or ordinary people. But neither the gurus took any wealth from the kings, nor did the gurus treat kings' children and other children differently. Kings could donate a palace for ashram, but gurus stuck to their huts, and all students had to live poorly, and work to manage their meals. Those gurus were real teachers who carried out their job of passing on knowledge and skills to their students. In today's modern times, a very few gurus have such qualities. Things do not remain exactly the same. In present days we cannot expect gurus to be in jungles, and live austere lives. But that's not the point. A guru's spiritual knowledge cannot be measured by his simplicity of looks or living. It's measured by the sum total of his students' learning and comfort feeling that they gain from the guru. A real guru has no wants, he just has a few needs. We, as kids, learned in schools the basic needs of a human being are food, clothing, and shelter. A guru just needs simple food, clothing, and shelter to keep his body alive so that students can benefit from his existence. He doesn't have any wants because he has the knowledge that there is no ends to wants, and that desire is the root cause of all evils. Story: Guru has no wants. One day a student was done with lessons from his guru, and was leaving for the day. He asked his guru, "Guruji, sir, what time do you want me to come tomorrow?" "I don't want you to come," replied the guru very politely. The student was dumbstruck at the reply. After a short silence the guru continued, "You don't have to come to me if you think that I want you to come. Please come to me if you want to come, and if you believe that you would gain something by coming to me." Such are real gurus. in whose dictionary there is no word called want for their own. As long as there is material value in any want, that is materialism, and not spiritualism. Whether a guru expects money from his disciples for buying a laptop or golden statue of a god, it amounts to the same thing. A chain that binds is ultimately a chain, whether of iron or gold. Many gurus have exploited their disciples a lot in the names of God and spirituality. A question is often raised: how would it be possible to spread spiritual awareness far and wide without dealing with money? The answer is, yes, it's a valid question, but there is a different way to handle that. Like most other institutions, even spiritual institutions should have separate sections for teaching and administration. On the teaching front, a guru's sole job is to teach and students' only business is to learn. On the administration front, students and others are most welcome to make any amount of donation, as they feel comfortable. Administration work should be done by students or anybody other than the guru. Most of present day's gurus are themselves teachers and administrators. Their minds are more on the income and expenses of the institution and less on spreading the teachings. They hold high positions in the institutions, they teach, I am Satchidanand, but they sign as spiritual director of the institution. In their practical lives they are attached to even their titles and position, but they teach others the lessons of non-attachment. Do not ask, what's wrong with many gurus, but ask, is there anything right with such gurus, or most importantly, are they gurus in the first place? When a spiritual aspirant learns to differentiate a real guru from fake gurus, he has reached a major milestone of his journey. Some people reach this milestone from their own experience, and some others by the experience of others. We should always try for the best. But still, if unfavorable incidences happen in our lives, such as experiencing materialistic gurus, or anything else, we should just know that that was an important chapter in our lives and it happened with us because it had to happen for our good, whether we understand it or not. Story: everything happens for good. One day, while handling a sword, an emperor injured his little finger. His chief advisor immediately told the emperor not to worry, everything happens for a good purpose. The emperor became furious with the advisor and put him in jail. After a few days, the emperor went hunting in a forest. He was later separated from his hunting party and eventually captured by tribal people intending to make a human sacrifice. The emperor was taken before a temple. When the temple priest examined him, the priest announced that he could not be sacrificed because he had a wound, which was still bleeding. As he was not fit to be sacrificed, the emperor was released. In his turn, the emperor thanked God for injuring his finger, and thereby sparing his life. He then immediately went to the prison to meet the advisor. The emperor released the advisor and said, "Now I understand how my injury was for something good. But tell me, why did God allow me to imprison you? How is it for the best that you have been imprisoned due to my anger?" Advisor replied, "Your Majesty, if I had not been in prison, I would have been with you hunting, and when the forest tribe rejected you for their sacrifice, they would have sacrificed me.